Prego.
Hi again. So I'm Joscha, and the tool I work on is called FrameTrail. FrameTrail is basically a very simple web application, so it runs entirely in your browser. That allows you to experience, manage, and edit interactive video. What it takes is basically just either a video file or a defined empty time span. So you can just say, without any source media file, I want to have a time container of 2 minutes, and then put any contents into that time container. Within the either media file or time container, you can then add, edit, replace overlays, so montage things on top of the video, any kind of web media which you want to use. That appears at a certain point of time, disappears again, so quite straightforward. The other thing you can do is connect this time span or the video file at certain points of time with a collection of documents. So you have, I don't know, a documentary on a certain subject, and you have a document archive or a set of documents related to that video file at certain points of time, and they are set in relation in the user interface. And what you can also do in FrameTrail is to use, really to program within the environment, which makes it kind of like an IDE for a film. So you can really say, at this point of time, I want this small code snippet to be executed, and I don't know, when the video reaches this and that time, this shall happen. When the video ends, or when someone presses play, execute any arbitrary code you want, or react to other types of event, like someone clicking an interactive overlay or anything. So the basic concepts of FrameTrail are, first of all, that it's all open source, of course. But much more important, that is, well, open source is also very important, but that it's a simple architecture, meaning that it's entirely file-based. There are no databases. Everything's saved in a JSON format, and really just the only server operation is really just retrieving JSON files and saving them back again to the server. There's also no pre-processing, no media transcoding, anything. That's all up to the user. It's really a very simple tool that runs in your browser, and that you can basically set up by just downloading a zip file and copying that onto your server, and it's installed. There's nothing to set up really. And the third important basic concept or principle is that it's an open-ended format, so it's never really, as I said in the introductions, I'm fighting against this idea of rendering things, so really burning information into images and losing the accessibility. So I want to keep that format open-ended forever, and kind of merge the actual work that is produced with the player environment and the editor. So there's not an editor and then the final thing. There's really just one thing that you can play back and edit at all times, and you will be able to do so forever. I'm currently working on 2 use cases for FrameTrail. The first one is the annotation focus, and for that I'm annotating German parliamentary debates, which means that I take this sometimes a little bit boring video material, or comparable to C-SPAN streams, I guess, and try and make that more interesting for people by providing context. So by connecting the video stream at certain points of time, or the recorded video right now, at certain points of time, with relevant documents from, for example, the input to a certain debate from all different parties. And the other focus is to provide a very dynamic user interface. So you could, for example, say for this use case, I need out of 4 or 5 parties that have a certain document or standpoint on an issue that's presented in a video. You could have like 4, 5, 6, 7 timelines that could be arranged in any way you like. So it's really a very, very dynamic user interface that somehow works with the video file, but around you have all these additional contents. And one thing that became important during this project was to try and use the web annotation data model, which came up during the project, as both storage and export format. That was for me very interesting because I saw that basically like nearly no one is using such a data model or a JSON LD as storage format, because everyone is using databases and systems, and I'm just using files. So that presented some interesting challenges. But it's currently rebooked. I think in 2 or 3 days it will be completely rewritten to use the web annotation data model where it's appropriate or where it's possible. Meaning that the annotations that are created in FrameTrail should, in the best case, be interoperable with other annotation systems. The whole project, or this use case with the parliamentary debates, is funded by the German Federal Ministry of Education and Resource by the awesome Prototype Fund, and will be released end of August, like very, very soon. So I still have a little bit of work to do. The second use case is completely different. Like the first one was just taking video material as is and trying to enrich that at certain points of time with other materials. The second use case is really looking at the video contents themselves. And that is the project that is called Field Trip on the Tempelhof Airfield in Berlin, which has a very, very interesting and diverse history. And the idea is to create really something like an open source documentary. So everything that's happening in the film that would normally happen or would normally be done in some kind of post-production tools like After Effects or something is really done with open web technologies. And we try to really do that to the max. So really program every small thing that's happening in the film. There is, of course, also interaction. That's why, it will become a web documentary. So there will be like points at like certain points of time in one video where the user can choose how the film continues and these things. But the core for me is to really try and open source the film material itself. So you have, in the end, several components that manage how you link from one video to another, how transitions work, how different interactions could work. And then, in the end, everything that's created in the project will be merged to a centralized code snippet repository, which means anyone else who wants to do a documentary on any other subject later with the same technology can just reuse all these code snippets, and they will be mandatorily open source also on the respective licenses. And then, as I just said, we'll try and go as far as possible and be as radical as possible about this idea of doing the post-production in the browser and not render video files as far as anyhow possible. That project is funded by the Media Innovation Center Babelsberg. Will be released October 2018, so we just started with the project right now, just started filming, it will run for quite some time, and we are still looking for media partners for this use case. So if there's anyone interested in this general idea of doing open source documentary project, then I'm very happy to talk to you. All right, that might be. Just gonna show a small demo and see if that does. There was no, yeah. So, just a very small demo of what FrameTrail can do. That's how the interface. I'm just gonna open that in. Yeah, so you see a little bit more. That's how the interface can look like. It's very dynamic. You could just change everything here as you like. You can just change where things are shown, activate, deactivate different interface areas. But for the moment, I'll just stick with that presentation here. So you see you have some kind of video material, which are all sample videos here, connected to a set of documents. And you can just browse these documents. Again, they don't make any sense. It's just a sample. But the thing is, you can just switch between document sets of different users, which will in a few weeks also be possible for different subjects, like the different parties in the parliament. So you can really very easily switch through different sets of annotations to the exact same video material. And if you want to edit this, it really just... Where's the ad? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, password demo. So that's it basically, and that's what you can do with any kind of any FrameTrail video, if you have the credentials, of course. And it's really as simple as that. If you want to place contents on top of the video, you just place them there, change whatever. You can choose to synchronize them. Say if I click it, I want this and that to happen, or if it appears. Can put any kind of contents that I previously added on top of the video. They appear and disappear, and that's it. It's very straightforward, very simple, and will and now it's immediately done. If I would save, then it's in there. The custom code thing is basically located here, which means you can, for every video, change or not change, but write additional code just for this piece, meaning JavaScript and CSS. And you can, of course, manage your annotations. So if I want to say you can very easily just manage the times where things appear and disappear, and add additional resources at certain points of time. And what you can to collaborate with other users is to see at which points of time other users have added which materials, and then, for example, just take one of these. Just going to take that, and I see, okay, that's interesting. That I may also want to have that in my video. I can just drag and drop it into my timeline, and I'm using it as my annotation in my video. That is basically it. If you want to learn more, just go to frametrail.org. That's also where the demo is located. The Fieldtrip Berlin project is fieldtrip.berlin. And of course, FrameTrail is on GitHub, and everything you saw is open source there and will be forever. Thanks.
Is there a link for the parliamentary debate?
No, because it doesn't exist yet. It's yeah, I'm still working on it and putting together sample material. But yeah, end of August there will definitely be a link because then it's finished. Yeah.
So I applaud you for not stuffing all of this annotation metadata in a database and actually moving forward with saying, yeah, we're going to use documents, we're going to use JSON LD with the thing so the metadata kind of moves forward with the material always. But you mentioned you'd had a couple of problems with that. What are some of those issues for those of us who are going to try to pursue similar paths?
Can just, if we have time, can just show a small example of what the problem can be. That would be the develop branch. Origins 1. Because the thing is that these standards are sometimes worked out by people who are not really developers, and it's like from a very abstract perspective. So one of the things that can happen and that were a problem for me when implementing this were this, for example. In order to be to use the correct web annotation data model, if I want to reference a time, I need to use a fragment selector conform with the media fragment URI, which means in the end that there's some different notations of that, but in the end there's always a point where I get to that string t equals 4, 8, which of course you would never do it like that when you're a developer, because you want to have that time. And you want to have it maybe you definitely don't want to have a string with these two timings that you have to parse again and again and again every time you want to make changes. Then you have to put the string back together when you're saving it. So these are the things that are a bit strange and were a bit strange for me. There's also a lot of repeated information because I like before I had my own JSON format that I just invented for myself, and that I only the information there that I actually needed. Now I have a lot of information in there that is duplicated everywhere in the file. So that is a problem. And those are things that you would never ever save in a database, or you would save it once and not 20,000 times for every annotation. Yeah. Yeah, it's not really an issue. It's just text, and we have the bandwidth. It's just a strange thing because this is all I have for storage. So yeah. Okay.